Hey guys, Happy New Year. This is Boomler from Cadence Radio. And yeah, welcome to me. Welcome to my new podcast for the year. I hope everybody had a great Christmas, holidays, all that good stuff. And hopefully everything was doing good. Ate well, slept well, got that break you were looking for. For me, my Christmas was pretty good. I made my first turkey, I knocked it out of the park. Made my stuffing, I knocked that out of the park. Did a lot. So, and I also did a roast too, so I was proud of myself. But here's to a prosperous new year and everybody who listens to my podcast. Cheers. But let's get down to business here. Lots of events happening. I think 2019 is going to be one of the biggest eventful years we've seen in our lifetime. There's a lot of changes being made. Lots of old guards getting replaced by the new guards. That's in every aspect of it. I am very proud to be witnessing this change. Hopefully, it does go through. The biggest thing is the withdrawal of troops from Syria. That was a big one. Amazing. Someone finally figured out that there's a lot of money being wasted with invading other people's countries. So, kudos to Donald Trump. Kudos to what he's been promising most of the time. He's going to build that wall. No matter what anybody says, that wall is going to get built. It's going to be a national emergency, I would say, in the next week or so. That wall is going to be up. He's going to allocate funds from other sources than Congress. I think Congress is a joke. And let me get this: I'm not a Republican. I'm Canadian, by the way. I don't side with Republicans. I don't side with Democrats. What I think, basically, there's good and there's versus bad. There's certain people in both parties with certain agendas, and they try to get that agenda right, and they try to, by any means necessary, take that agenda and basically try to control more people than we know. But it's being stopped. The tricks which have been formulated by these demons do not work anymore. Lots of people are awake to the fact. And we found out, and actually, hopefully, the people listening to my podcast can find out that mainstream media is probably one of the worst propaganda tools these guys have, and they're being called out. For example, how can there was a local San Diego radio station who CNN got a hold of to really talk about the effects of having a wall, and if it's viable or not. So I think it was KSU San Diego, Fox affiliate. I'm not sure. I might be wrong with that one. But they did investigation. They brought up the facts, and they say that the wall does work. But CNN, they send their findings to CNN, and CNN basically quashed it, said that this is not viable. You have nothing, so we ain't gonna air you. That is double standard. The news is supposed to cover the facts and let the people decipher what they need to know. So you can't really be picking sides. So to CNN, to MSN, to Fox, to all those guys, your days are numbered. You need to be for the people. That's why there is an amendment and a right for freedom of press, freedom of speech, all that stuff, and for you to report the facts. Eventually you will. But like I said, kudos to Mr. Trump for doing what he's doing and really getting to it. And that movement is not only in the United States. You see it in Paris, you see it in France. See Paris, France, you see it in Germany. You see it also in Italy. You see it in Europe. And like I said, the first thing, the French Revolution was humongous. It's just like history repeating ourselves. When the guillotines came out and they started smashing their heads and cutting heads of the monarch kings and queens. But that's where it started. So history does repeat itself. So watch out for what France is doing. Macron is pretty much not going to show his face anywhere. And he might, like I said, they're going to force him to step down. And that is the last of the strongholds. I'm going to take you guys with a little bit of history about this deep state shadow government. It's a history. There's 3 branches. There's a military, there's a church branch, and there's also a financial branch. The financial branch is in England, but no one knows. Everyone thinks it's in London, but it's actually in the city of London. If you really, really delve down and research about the city of London, it's separate from London. But it's in London, but it's called its own entity. That's where basically the finance comes from. That's the biggest one. And basically they run that whole connection all through the world. They're the ones who run all that money. That money comes through the city of London. If you go to it, just like that's one. And basically that's where all that money goes to, all through the world, all through these nefarious, like drug money, child trafficking, you name it, that nefarious money, it goes there. The military branch is actually in Washington. That's Washington, D.C. It's actually Washington, D.C. That's not even part of the United States. It's its own entity. It's basically rules, and if you live in Washington, D.C., no one's poor in Washington, D.C. That's where most of the money goes there too, but it's a big military branch there too. That's the biggest military branch. So they're the guys who basically invade countries with their armies. And City of London controls that. So they get the money from that. It goes around. The other one is the Vatican. And the Vatican is a big one. It's the church state. But everyone thinks it's Catholic and all that. But Vatican has been infiltrated by, all the sex abuse. It's satanic. That's basically what the Vatican is. An evil place. There's some good people in there, but they are being compromised. Pretty much, it's an evil place. And that's the third one. So, but what's happening now is the first to fall is going to be, I think, the Washington, the military branch. The military branch is getting taken over. Once the military branch is taken over and getting thrown out with all these deep states, then they're going to go. Once they take that over, they're going to go into the city of London and take that one over. You can tell with the Brexit. Once the Brexit does go through and London is going to leave the EU, then basically that's pretty much city of London is a free for all, and they'll be taken out. The Vatican is the last to be taken down. That's my thing, is the last to be taken down. And you could see they're prepping everybody with all these sex abuse cases, all these priests getting indicted and charged with child abuse. And you're going to see the Vatican fall. And I think the Pope right now, Mr. Francis, is one of the culprits. But you're going to find out in, I would say, basically, not this year, probably next year or the year after. 2019 is just based on getting the battlegrounds tested, and the number one thing what's going to happen is you're going to see Washington, the military fall, the deep state fall on that. what's so funny to me, the Democrats wanted. You can tell with it how the deep state works is basically they infiltrate the party with the most influence. The most influent party in the last 16 years was the Democratic Party. So what they do, they move all their deep state people in there and basically try to do the agenda. Back in the Reagan days, the Republican Party was the most influential. So they infiltrate that one and try to do it. So they try to go back and forth, but their party members are they're slowly being called out and slowly dying. And you guys better watch out. If you guys tune into Just Informed Talk, if you know X22, Jordan Sather is big, Dustin Emos. They talk about these indictments, the 70,000 indictments ready to go. And these indictments are probably worldwide. And once the military is getting taken over by the good guys, that those indictments are going to be open and those cases are going to come through. So you're going to see those mass arrests. I watched David Wilcock on Jimmy Church Radio. He had some disclosure say that the tribunals already have been happening, but they're in private settings right now. But I think that it should be open for the world. We should see the truth because it's going to awaken us, and we're going to learn from it and basically make sure that it does not happen again. Because all these demons, they hide in the shadows. That's what they do. That's what they do most of the time. They hide in the shadows, and if you don't know anything about it, you're unaware, they can keep doing what they're doing. But eventually, they are being stopped, and eventually, we will strive later on. I'm going to talk a little bit about the entertainment business here, the R. Kelly thing. R. Kelly, to me, he's guilty as sin. He's been doing this since he stepped on the scene. Agent, nothing but a number, Little Aaliyah. It keeps going on and on. Guilty as sin, but he's not the only one. And me as a black person, it's kind of killing me because it's not killing me, but it's basically the biggest news stories is Bill Cosby, R. Kelly. They're going to try to do an expose on Michael Jackson. The guy's been passed away for 7-8 years, saying that they're still running on that he molested kids and stuff and all this junk, which I don't believe at all. The reason why they're off Michael Jackson, the reason why they have those accusations on him was because he is a shrewd businessman. The guy was in Sony. He took the Beatles catalog. He had all that money. He took it fair and square. He was a shrewd businessman, and people were out to get him. And long story short, they murdered him. That's what happened because he wouldn't give up that power. With that catalog, the guy would have been running Sony in about 5 years. He did not have to put out an album at all, and he knew about it, and he knew it. But getting an artist with that much power, he would have opened the doors for other artists to do that. So they didn't want that. So it's all control. Like I said, these guys are infiltrating everywhere. They infiltrate that entertainment business too. But what I want to really delve down is basically the people who we should be talking about. Yeah, R. Kelly, guilty of sin. Woody Allen, guilty of sin. Steven Spielberg, he ran with those nefarious people. Talk to Mr. Feldman. Corey Feldman came out. He said that's the biggest problem of all time. He came onto The View, said that, and they chastised him for it. But now you're looking at it. Look at Kevin Spacey. I could keep on going on. All these guys, it's a little group. It's a group, and there's lots of people in it, and lots of people who are compromised who do not want to talk. Everybody knew what R. Kelly was doing. Everybody knew what Woody Allen was doing. Everybody knew it. But no one wants to speak because you will never work ever again. But who'd want to work in that entertainment business when it's so slimy like that, anyways? So, so those guys are those people are also going to be shown the light and to be exposed, because Hollywood needs to be cleaned out. The reason why these guys are against what the president is doing is because they got a lot of skeletons to hide. That's basically what it is. This wall thing, these people jumping out, saying all this, he's racist, wants to purify this. They're tugging on people's emotion, but that gets old because this is all they have. That's all they've been doing since the beginning of time. They call this guy racist, they do all this stuff, and they have no proof whatsoever. And it's getting old. It's getting old, and people are getting sick and tired of it. People are just looking into the fact, like the last 3 or 4 or 5 days, there's been illegal immigrants assaulting citizens, basically killing citizens, and it's the facts are there. And if you're not coming into the country illegally, if you're not coming to the country legally, you have pretty much something to hide. You have pretty much something to hide. And I'm going to tell you this right now. For me, if you're leaving your country, if you're a real citizen, and you go through it the right way, there's nothing wrong with that. But most of these people who are leaving the country, they're escaping from something. And it could be, you're war torn, it could be that, but there's a lot of other bad apples in there too who come through. So basically, that's why you have the laws to come in legally, man. But there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of things which people should really be testing on this wall. I don't think the wall's gonna stop most of it. I think that we need reform, a criminal reform, and I think basically you need to do away with the drug war. If you do away with the drug war, those cartels basically have nothing, because all the drug war is basically a cash cow. But sorry about my rant, but I had to today. It's the new year, so I'm nice and fresh, ready to go. And it's me. I've been talking for the last couple of weeks, even a little bit longer. I'm going to have a couple of my boys on there. I really want to get Mr. Maveen on here to do an interview here pretty soon. I might get my boy Taryn back. And I might guest host on. I want to guest host on one of these things. I want to shout out to Mr. Kane Hayes. He has a good podcast. He's a hip hop guy, and he's more into the music and more into the little society politics. I like to get on his website, on his podcast, talk a little bit about how everything is interconnected. And I got a lot. I've been researching this since 2010. 2010. I remember when I'm going through, I knew a little bit what the Illuminati was, but it hit me in 2010. It hit me pretty bad, and I remember when it hit me. It was when I had the interview with Savali. She was an Illuminati survivor, and this is all interconnected, guys. And I sat into it, just busted my head. And I sat in my room for 2 hours. I could not go to sleep. And basically I was shaking because the stuff which goes on, how this is all intertwined. And I'll tell you this right now. It's all about sacrificing. And it's all about the wars of the heavens. It's basically good versus evil, man. and basically it's a stranglehold, and we're caught in the middle. It's a stranglehold on humanity, and we possess being good and we possess being evil. We are yin and the yang, but most people are good people, but you can be compromised to be bad. So basically, we're the ones in the middle, but we're the ones who need to fight for our freedom. Basically, we need to be free. As much as everyone thinks we are not. So we need to be free, and listen to like I say, listen to those alternative media guys. Listen to them. I named a few. Listen to me. I'll be still preaching. I'm trying to do my part just to spread the word. I don't have that many views yet, but but it doesn't matter to me. It's on wax. It's recorded. You can put it all together, and basically take little tidbits from every little thing I say. I'm just trying to plant a little bit of seeds here and there of what I'm talking about. But I just want people to research for yourselves if you do have time, and basically help yourself understand what we as human beings are really up against. And we're not going anywhere. I think human beings are going to survive through the toughest times. All this transhumanism, all these weird nuances of what you can do, cannot do. It's just basically to play with your mind. Once your mind is corrupted, and once your mind is compromised, they got you. So think for yourself, man. Research for yourself and keep on going. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to keep on going and try to spread as much truth as I can. So hopefully I'm signing out. And Cadence Radio, we're back with a boom, 2019. Hopefully be very prosperous. And then we can go from there. All right. Peace.